Have you ever wondered why bad things happen to good people? Why do good people suffer while the wicked celebrate? And why does God remain silent when he's needed the most? This isn't a new question. We have the answer in the Bible. In its pages, we find a profound journey to understanding faith and justice. There was, in the desert land of Uz, a man named Job. His life is the greatest test of faith ever told. Job wasn't a king or a prophet. He was just a righteous and good man. He feared God so much that he never touched evil. He was the most upright and righteous man the earth has ever seen. But Job wasn't just a man of faith. He was also a man of great wealth. His riches were immense. He had hundreds of acres filled with livestock, and an army of servants worked in his house. He was the richest man in all the East. However, his greatest treasure were his children's 7 sons and 3 daughters. Job lived with gratitude. He prayed every morning for his family, offered sacrifices to God on behalf of his children. Job did not forget that everything he had came from heaven. But what Job didn't know was that in the heavenly realm, a conversation was taking place that would change his life forever. God was proud of Job, and he mentioned him in front of Satan, who was roaming the earth looking for someone to devour. But Satan replied with a poisonous doubt. Does Job fear God for nothing? Haven't you protected him, his house, and everything he owns? You've blessed him so much that his wealth has multiplied. But reach out and touch everything he has, and you'll see how he curses you to your face. So God, fully trusting Job's faith, allowed Satan to test his servant. On one condition, he could not harm Job. And so began the most painful trials a man could ever imagine. In a single day, Job received the news that his oxen, his donkeys, his servants, had all been killed or stolen. And before they could even finish telling him, the worst news of all arrived. A powerful wind hit the house where his children were gathered, and it collapsed. Everyone died. Torn by grief, Job ripped his clothes, shaved his head, and fell to the ground. And then, in the midst of his devastation, he spoke words that shake history. Naked. I came from my mother's womb, and naked I will depart. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Even in his suffering, Job did not sin or curse God. Satan was silent, but he didn't give up. Satan returned to God and said, "Skin for skin. A man will give all he has to save his life, but strike his body, and he will surely curse you to your face." So, Satan gave Job painful sores from the bottom of his feet to the top of his head. Job sat in ashes, with a piece of broken pottery in his hand to scratch his sores. His body hurt, but his soul hurt even more. His wife, unable to bear so much suffering, said to him, "Do you still hold on to your integrity? Curse God and die." But Job, strong in his faith, answered, "Shall we receive good from God, and shall we not receive evil?" In all this, Job did not sin with his lips. Then his 3 friends arrived, Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar. When they saw him from a distance, they didn't recognize him because his body was in such bad shape. They cried out, tore their robes, and sat with him on the ground for 7 days and 7 nights, without saying a single word, because they saw how great his suffering was. But on the 7th day, Job opened his mouth and cursed the day he was born. "May the day I was born perish," he exclaimed. "Why didn't I die at birth? Why was I given light if my life is full of suffering?" Then his friends started their long speeches. One after another, they tried to explain Job's suffering. They said he must have sinned secretly, that God doesn't punish without reason, that he should repent. But Job defended his innocence. I haven't done anything wrong. My conscience is clear. I want to talk to God and present my case to him. He knows my ways. When he tests me, I will come out like gold. Job was torn between his faith and his pain, between his hope and his despair. He didn't understand why a just God would allow so much suffering, and he longed for God to answer him. Finally, a fourth person, the young Elihu, spoke. He said that God is greater than man can understand, that often suffering is meant to teach, to correct, to mold the soul. But then, God spoke. From a whirlwind, his voice filled the sky. Who is this that darkens counsel with words without knowledge? Brace yourself like a man. I will question you, and you will answer me. Where were you when I laid the earth's foundation? Who shut up the sea behind doors? Have you commanded the morning? Have you seen the depths of the deep? God didn't answer with explanations, but with questions that showed his majesty, his power, and his wisdom. Job, upon hearing the voice of the Almighty, humbled himself and bowed down. My ears had heard of you, but now my eyes see you. Therefore I despise myself and repent in dust and ashes. After Job humbled himself before God, the Lord spoke to his three friends. They were wrong. Their words had not been right before God like Job's. And the Lord said to Eliphaz, Take 7 bulls and 7 rams, and go to Job and offer them as a burnt offering. My servant Job will pray for you. I will listen to him, and I will not punish you for your foolishness. So they did. And Job, even though he was hurting, and his friends had said mean things to him, prayed for them. And then something wonderful happened. When Job prayed for his friends, God made him prosperous again. He didn't just make him prosperous, he gave him twice as much as he had before. All his brothers, sisters, and old friends came to visit him. They ate with him in his house, they comforted him, and each one gave him a silver coin and a gold ring. And God blessed the last part of Job's life even more than the first. He had 14,000 sheep, 6,000 camels, 1,000 pairs of oxen, and 1,000 donkeys. He also had 7 sons and 3 daughters. Job gave his daughters beautiful names, Jemimah, Keziah, and Karen-Happuch. And in all the land there were no women as lovely as Job's daughters. After all this, Job lived 140 more years. He saw his children and his children's children to the 4th generation, and he died, old and full of days. We want to read your comments. Did you relate to Job's story? What lesson does this powerful story of faith teach you? Have you experienced a trial where you saw God's hand? Do you have a testimony that could encourage others? Share it. Your story might be just what someone needs to hear today. Don't forget to subscribe to the Light of Gospel channel and turn on notifications. And follow us on all our social media platforms to receive more content that lifts your faith, renews your hope, and brings you closer to God every day. See you in the next video. And remember, even if you don't understand the process, trust the purpose.